What if I told you that there was once a time when the world felt like it was falling apart? The great city of Rome, once the heart of a mighty empire, had crumbled. All across Europe, people were scared and confused. Different tribes wandered from place to place, fighting for land and fighting for food at the same time. Farms were empty. Families went hungry. Fear lingered in every town and every village. It was a dark and lonely time. And yet, in the middle of all this chaos, one man rose, not with an army, not with swords, but with faith, courage, and a vision that changed the world forever. This is the story of Gregory the Great, the Pope who saved Europe. The year is 590 A.D. The Western Roman Empire, once the most powerful in the world, had fallen, leaving Europe fractured, vulnerable, and broken into small regions, each ruled by weak kings or ruthless warlords. So there was no order, no safety, and life had become dangerous. Raiding groups, barbarian tribes, like the Lombards, a fierce tribe from the north. They were warriors, restless and ambitious, driven by hunger and the promise of new lands. After the fall of Rome, they moved from town to town. They attacked villages, stole food, sometimes killed without mercy. Families hid their children, held on tightly to what little they had, hoping to survive another day. Famine spread across the land. Crops failed. Grain was scarce. Hunger gnawed at every home. Disease spread fast. Without doctors or proper medicine, even simple sickness became deadly. Entire communities were wiped out. People felt hopeless, abandoned, afraid. Governments had collapsed, leaving no one to protect the citizens. The world was silent, except for the voice of the Church. The Church was one of the few institutions still standing, so it tried to help. Monks and priests worked tirelessly, feeding the hungry, caring for the sick, and offering comfort for those in grief. Churches and monasteries became safe havens, but even they struggled, because resources were scarce, and the Church itself faced danger from enemies who wanted power. In that time of fear, hunger, and sickness, people needed a leader, someone with courage, wisdom, and faith, to guide them through darkness. The question was clear: who would step forward to bring hope and safety to a broken world? Gregory was not born into poverty. In fact, he came from a wealthy, powerful Roman family. His home was large and luxurious, filled with treasures. He had the best education, learned from skilled teachers, and enjoyed privileges that few could only imagine. People expected him to live a life of comfort, influence, and honor. But Gregory did not desire wealth or fame. From a young age, he felt a strong inner calling, a sense that he was meant for something greater than comfort or prestige. He felt a divine mission to serve the Church and help humanity in times of suffering. This calling pulled him away from worldly life and towards a life of devotion. He left his luxurious home, became a monk, withdrawing from the world, devoting himself to prayer, study, and service. He spent his days copying sacred texts, caring for the sick, feeding the poor, and guiding those in need. Yet, even in his quiet devotion, destiny was preparing him for something much bigger. In 590 A.D., during one of Europe's darkest periods, Gregory's life took a dramatic turn. The people were hungry, sick, and fearful. Raiders threatened towns, and governments had failed. In the heart of this chaos, Gregory was elected pope. Suddenly, he was no longer a quiet monk. He became the spiritual leader of a fractured and desperate world. His calling was no longer just personal. It had become a responsibility to guide all of Europe towards hope, safety, and faith. When Gregory became pope, the challenges before him were overwhelming. The Lombards were advancing through Italy, taking towns and villages as they advanced, and threatening Rome itself. The city's walls could not protect everyone, and people lived in constant fear of attack. On top of that, famine gripped the land. Crops had failed, food was scarce, and many families went hungry. Disease spread quickly through crowded streets, and those that fell sick were left without care. Political instability made the situation even worse. Leaders were weak, governments were powerless, and no one could offer real protection or guidance. The Church itself, though still respected, had fragile authority and limited resources. But Gregory understood that surviving these disasters required more than just protection. People needed hope. They needed guidance. They needed someone to show them that life could still have meaning, even in dark times like this. And Gregory was ready to lead. He did not wait for miracles. He worked to create them. He negotiated directly with the invaders, convincing them to spare cities and release captives. He organized the collection and distribution of food. He made sure the starving could eat. He cared for the sick, encouraged the frightened, and reminded the people that their lives mattered, even when everything seemed lost. Through courage, wisdom, and compassion, Gregory became a leader whom people could trust, a figure they could turn to when every other source of protection had failed. But Gregory's impact went far beyond politics and protection. He transformed the church itself, reforming its structure, making it stronger and more efficient. He emphasized moral leadership, teaching that the church's authority should not come from fear or power, but from example, compassion, and wisdom. Gregory the Great also sent missionaries across Europe to spread Christianity peacefully. One of his most famous missions was sending Saint Augustine of Canterbury to England to convert the Anglo-Saxons and bring them into the Christian faith. Though these missions were not just about religion, they were about building connections, fostering understanding, and creating communities guided by shared values and compassion. For Gregory, power was not measured by wealth or armies, but by service, humility, and faith. Through his vision, Europe found new light in a time of darkness. He believed that faith, guided by wisdom and compassion, could unite a broken continent. Gregory the Great was not just a pope. He was a statesman, a diplomat, a visionary. He saved Rome from collapse, fed the hungry, protected the weak, and laid the foundations for the Europe we know today. If you are just seeing us for the first time, or you love what we do, please follow, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss a single moment in history's wide life. Stay curious. See you in the next chapter.